Click the links that you on the channel here or on subscribe. Sorry, thanks to the recent members. You're the real heroes for helping that laptop fund come along. So why is brand this Disney Corp, the globalist vermin parasites? I probably shouldn't have said that right at the beginning of the video. Why are they pushing something that everyone knows is unhealthy? Like, you're not going to sell this to people. There's a lot of like this globalist Marxist, Frankfurt School type of nonsense that the Saul Alinsky stuff they push. Like, there's a lot that people can be brainwashed into believing as long as you keep them so busy, so distracted that they can just slowly get on board things. But something like this, man, it's really going to be a hard sell because like most people know what it's like, and they know they certainly do not want to be a kid and be, as this character is, 50 pounds overweight, because you simply can't do the things you're supposed to do as a kid and as a young adult and as an adult. And for most of your years, you're supposed to be like, the human body is supposed to be active. And no, if you're 50 pounds overweight, you're just not doing the same things that, and especially not as a kid. Listen, if you're 50 and you've got a few pounds on you, it's like, okay, fair enough. You're probably not going to be out shooting hoops, but like, every risk of an injury is more serious when you're carrying any excess fat, going up or down a flight of stairs or anything, any little trip where your shoe catches on something. Well, if you're like a normal weight, you can catch yourself and correct yourself because the muscle balance to the fat is in balance. But when you're 50 pounds overweight, you're going to suffer horrific injuries. So this is something that they're just not going to sell to people. This was back in like 2015, kind of peak YouTube days with the anti-SJW stuff, where like fat acceptance was huge, no pun intended. And you had these women getting on stage and doing these interviews, and they were out of breath as they gave their interviews. And everyone in the audience is looking at this like, this is, even if you're fat, the upshot of watching that interview is like, dear, I'm gonna have to start fasting or something, start learning about diet and nutrition, because nobody wants to be. It's one thing to be fat, but there's like a whole nother segment of the population who's in denial about it. Like, everyone else is like, oh yeah, I'm 20 pounds overweight. I ate all the Halloween candy. Screw those kids. Yeah, but that's one thing. It's like, yeah, I know it's bad. But to be in this weird denial about it, that was kind of like 2015, 2016. And then it all kind of died off for some reason because the people who were pushing it literally expired from heart attacks and strokes and from diabetes and from horrific injuries, because you're just not going to sell 300 pounds to anyone. You can't do these two things that are 180 degrees from each other simultaneously. You can't push health and accept your body and all that kind of stuff. Kids are not supposed to be 50 pounds overweight. Nobody's supposed to be 50 pounds over fat. Nobody, no matter what your age. Like, yeah, there's not a lot of morbidly obese 80-year-olds running around. Oh, gee, why do you think that is, Mr. Health at every size? And like, for some reason, this is more of a woman thing pushing this. I don't know why that is. So here's where political correctness meets the harsh reality. Pushing obesity on kids should be a crime. In my world, it would be a crime. You can't, as a society, support things that destroy society, unless, of course, you're a globalist and your goal is to destroy society. It's in the name. There was a push about 10 years ago. Feminism got subverted and corrupted by the globalists, or maybe it was 20 years ago when it kind of started. Feminism used to be against prawn and the industries associated with that, because they saw it for what it was. But feminism, socialism, liberalism, it has no checks and balances because the corruption slipped in. It was the concept of intersectionalism. Like, they just took feminism and then it got subverted by globalism, which you think all this stuff is related. It is, but one's subverting the other. Instead of the concept of the best ideas coming to the front, which is what any normal organization would want, they essentially corrupted feminism and the left wing in general over the past, I'd say 30, 40 years. No organization is going to do as well with that concept of affirmative action, where it's a non-merit based ascension to leadership. You want the best ideas out there. So the left sort of overplayed their hand, and I think finally now you're starting to see the pendulum just maybe start to swing back. Because stupid people had to be taken seriously because they're an imaginary number of oppression points, which is even less real than the square root of a negative number. So now the left wing is so far woke that they're pushing obesity on kids or sterilizing and mutilating them in an effort to make catamites for Epstein's. It's not just a fat Disney pushing obesity or that red panda movie pushing some much darker things, which should not be spoken of on YouTube. But Odyssey, I think Black Pigeon or Black Pilled or something, he's got a video breakdown on that Disney panda movie, and he goes through like 3 hours and just breaks it down. It's degenerate and filthy is a good way to describe it. And the white pill is it did lose $170 million, so that's something. That's what Disney is, though. It's evil. They're pushing things that are the left hand path. The dexterous path is health, family, ancestors, tribe, the blood extended family. There is no healthy at every size or an obesity body positivity movement because those are fundamentally negative things. They can change the name, but the new name will take on a negative connotation because the word refers to a thing or concept that is fundamentally negative. It's like different bags carrying something radioactive. It's gonna shine through. A nation should be pushing people to simply eat less. There should be public health campaigns to promote being lean as the healthy standard, which there were in, I think the last time I remember that, probably the 80s and 90s. And then you had Bill Clinton who was jogging around to jog to McDonald's. He didn't quite get the point of he seemed like such a nice guy, such a useful idiot who just wanted to get laid and have fun and probably party a little bit. But jogging to McDonald's was not a great example for the country. And yes, this means that the obese are gonna feel a little uncomfortable. They'll feel something called shame for their high carbon footprint. But then on average, people are going to eat less. If a few people have to suffer for the health of everyone else, that is what it is. It's a good trade. I mean, you can't do these two things that are opposed to each other and promote them both without being locked in room 101 with Winston. 2 + 2 = whatever you tell me it will equal. That's just the reality of the situation. Political correctness, it's like three books you really want to read are Animal Farm, to start with that because it's short and just so on point. And then 1984 is a little bit longer. And then if you want to have like a lighter take on it, A Brave New World's kind of a humorous take on a similar kind of circumstance. So that's just the reality of the situation. Political correctness has made it impossible to criticize bad behavior. Is this a certain period of history? Yeah, this is your nation on cultural Marxism. Globalists destroy nations. There are pieces of a nation: the planks, the foundation, health, tribalism, respect for the ancestors, and history. No matter the history, it's kind of reverence for the time judged by its own time and not judged by the current standards and mores and practices. Because I mean, it just takes a child's brain to look and go, oh, wait. If we're judging somebody in the past by current standards, will people in the future judge us? I think, isn't it better to just put your foot down and say, no, we're going to be the adults in the room and recognize that the past has to be judged by the standards of the past. Otherwise, it's a never-ending circle of causation. You would just never. It's a purity spiral that you could never satisfy, because obviously people in the future look back on us like in the future that everyone might be vegan or vegetarian or something. You're like, I can't believe those monsters were eating animals. Like literally that could happen. You never know. And then they look like, oh, they were all demons. Everyone was. You never know what little fad is going to catch on in the future. So, but like those are the pieces that kind of make up a nation. So globalists subvert and corrupt everything that is stable. That's the point of globalism. They've been doing this for over 100 years. Yes, they changed the name. Maybe the original name was Bolshevism or Marxism, Moses Mordecai Levy. But they changed the name. So stuff like the patriarchy, Christianity, ethno-nationalism, tribalism, femininity, masculinity, traditions, health, all that has to be destroyed and taken down. They want as much chaos as possible, so they will fund the lawyers, the quote unquote free speech law firms who will try to put as much like strip clubs and prawn in small towns and cities to just make everything as filthy and degenerate as possible, to remove like religious sayings from public places. Separation of church and state, like they will bend over backwards to do every little thing they possibly can. Like they'll be outsiders to a town. They'll come into a town and try to stick their nose into everything they possibly can and destroy things. They're globalists. They destroy nations. They destroy structure. Like there really is no living with them. You have to find a way to separate yourself away from them to set up, like to change the structure of the country a little bit, de jure, not just de facto, where you have different states for different identity groups, still within the federation, but different identity groups where you control who has the ability to be part of that community, so you can live according to your own ethics without having outsiders be able to suddenly like take your quiet suburban town and go, oh, we need to put low income housing in here. Like to be able to just like say, no, this town is a closed town. It's for its own purpose. It's like everything is, we don't need to be ruled by this like a Fed. It's like the concept of small town to state to Fed. Well, like the nation was never intended to be this Fed concept. It was supposed to be a collection of states, which is a collection of small towns, a much more locally ruled, where the different towns were different, where different states were different. But expanding federal powers led to the situation where we are now, because these filthy globalist vermin parasites want centralized power. We want decentralized power as much as possible. And it's kind of more of a Bit Chute Odyssey video, but there are a lot of white pills on the horizon. In the terms of crypto, Monero, and all platforms, and mainly technology. It's what is it, the rule for every 18 months technology increases, so whatever. You've gotten the means of communication that is, the price point is so low now. Like there's $100 Kindle to make a video that can reach 100 people and spark some ideas, and maybe they can talk about it and make videos that reach another. You get the idea. It's this massive parallel network, and the buy-in points like with $100 cell phone or a tablet, like that's it. That's what you need, and free software, and everything else is to start spreading this message to push back against these billion dollar corporations. It's like in some small way you can do it with, with Gab and Odyssey and Bit Chute and World Truth Video and Telegram and all these other platforms. Just try to, where you have free speech, to push back against this narrative that these globalists are pushing. And now the whole Elon Musk thing, it's kind of another video to see what's happening with Twitter and what's going to happen with Twitter, where the left wing is terrified that the right wing might have free speech on Twitter. They're terrified of being exposed to diversity of thought. And they, such to the point where they go, we need to create our own platform. We're all going to go to tribals. You're not going anywhere. You're not. I saw a few accounts who actually did close their accounts off. Like, yeah, okay. There's like one out of a million accounts closed their accounts and moved on. It's like, yeah, you're probably going to be back. You're not giving up Twitter. Or they close their accounts like, oh, so you went to Facebook. You went to Facebook. Congratulations. You went from one giant echo chamber to another giant echo chamber. Like Twitter is still a left wing echo chamber. That's what they don't understand. But now it's just the right wing. The governor has kind of come off the right wing a little bit. And yeah, it'll be crazy for a little while. People, building endless towers and whatnot. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe, support channel by becoming a member here on Subscribestar, and I will see you guys on the next episode.